Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got full rockin' my gun out there.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
Oh, this hard goddamn work being this good.
One more again, see what I take on your front set, I swear.
You ain't my daddy, are you?
There's gonna be consequences and repercussions.
What time is it?
Okay, welcome to the Don't Be Blasé podcast. I'm your host, B. Caruana, joined as always by my man, Steve Burrows.
Yo.
We're coming to you live from the House of Pain, otherwise known as Snap Fitness in the Adelaide CBD. First of all, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Larry and Lad. Go see the boys in Region Arcade, get yourself an awesome coffee and some pretty sweet tunes. But for now, on with the show. Now, today's show is going to be less of an argument, more of just a conversation about a comparison that I came up with. And, well, it will be somewhat of an argument because Steve, as always, disagrees with my genius. Now, it's going to be a really broad reach here, but I'm going to compare the careers of one LeBron James and John Cena. Yes, I don't know how wrestling and NBA come into play together.
I thought you were talking about the acting careers.
Well, they were in the same movie together, and they were very quite good at that.
Actually, they were pretty good, actually.
Yeah,
Amy Schumer film.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
She's not funny. But that's a different story. But yeah, I just honestly think that these two are probably the greatest of our current era. And sort of, they've had very similar careers. Their careers do mimic each other, but I think they are somewhat unappreciated, even though they are, well respected, purely because they're following the greatest acts of all time. And so, obviously LeBron following Jordan and Cena following, Steve Austin. So it's going to be one of those tough things that, I think in 10 years. Like when people are looking back, when they look at the careers and everything's settled and, the dust is settled and the stats are there, everyone's going to go, wow, those two were the best. But right now, we're sort of taken in by nostalgia and think the other guys are better.
Sorry, so you're saying that they'll go down as the best or as some of the best? What? That's
the thing. I think they have the possibility,
Because if you're saying that they're the best, you're wrong. So go proceed.
Because it's just
because I'm just saying. Jordan and probably Hulk Hogan would be the number one.
Yeah. So have you got
but go on. Yeah. Tell us your story.
This interrupting goat thing that you're doing. I know you love Adam Sandler, but it's a shit gimmick. And we're gonna get this out by next week.
That new film's out on Netflix.
Yeah, no one cares. So back to LeBron and Cena. Like I said, criminally underrated not criminally underrated, but just I think underappreciated for now because of the shadows that they're playing in.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. I know you love Hulk Hogan, even though he's done and dusted and doesn't like people of a certain skin colour. And Michael Jordan's turned out to be an absolute arsehole again, but his whole life away. And smokes 6 cigars a day. Fucking get a job, mate. But I just think, when we look at the numbers at the end of these careers, like I said, 10 years down the line, like I said, the way that the kids look up to Cena now, the way that we looked up to Hogan when we were growing up. So I think when they get back on it, it's going to be seen as like these two actually were amazing, and I think we're somewhat underappreciating them now.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, that's right. We're not. I think that's the problem with sport. I guess entertainment sport. Everyone's so busy comparing them to yesteryear to actually enjoy the now.
Yeah.
And I was saying to you before when we were at the pub, I was saying to you, LeBron, I love LeBron.
Yeah.
I think he's fantastic, and he is, I'll say he's the best player currently playing today. And I think that until someone goes, oh, he's better than George, shut the fuck up, man. See, I don't like him no more.
You always ride for your boy. That's fair,
and it's not, and then all of a sudden you start picking all the problems, and so I'm guilty of that. I probably do underappreciate LeBron. I certainly underappreciate John Cena, but then again, I'm not much of a wrestling fan these days. And that's not John Cena's fault actually, but I don't care too much for John Cena. Well, but it's not his fault.
There's not too many. I mean, he's working with a very average sort of setup. There's never really been a star that he can bounce off. Like, I mean, Hogan had, he was the explosion of wrestling, and like he had the whole MTV thing. I mean, he had guys like Roddy Piper, and like to bounce off. Roddy Piper's one of the greatest of all time. Guys like your Flairs and that sort of
Andre
thing.
the Giant.
Yeah,
wow.
Ultimate Warrior and that sort of stuff. and then Hogan and Rock had each other.
Yep.
They had, Mick Foley, they had Triple H, they had these big, huge characters to play off as well. And they were all Undertaker.
Yes.
And like we're discussing that even before that you were saying that Steve Austin was huge.
Yeah.
But then when you saw him next to the roster of the WWE wrestlers back in the early 2000s, like late 90s, he looked quite average in size because that's how big these guys were. Then you've got John Cena, and who has he really had, to help him pull the card? It's been him. He had a little angle, like few, big angles with Edge and Randy Orton, but these aren't really names like the ones we've mentioned before. They're great guys. Don't get me wrong, they're great wrestlers, but they're not really the sort of caliber of the guys before him. So I think he's been somewhat unappreciated because he's been carrying that card by himself.
He needed the Rock to come back really from hiatus to have one of the biggest.
And the thing is,
that they did.
that was like 2 months out of a year, like twice, and that's all he basically got out of him.
Yeah.
So he's really sort of been like, if you look at the things that he's done.
Yeah.
And the thing is, because we look at like the older fans look at him, he's really hokey, his punches are terrible, he looks like a bodybuilder, he's uncoordinated, blah, 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 blah. But he never chokes in the big moment. And that's what really like draws it in for me. So to our smaller scale, like being performers ourselves, it's one of those things that you can see guys that are sort of ready for a big position and guys that will talk a big game, but then when the lights are the brightest, that's when they fall down. It's like, you've got it in sports all the time. You've got guys that are really good on a Saturday afternoon, but you get them on the Friday night games when everyone's watching, and they're no good. They'll choke, they'll miss every goal.
Or the dude doesn't want to take the last shot.
Exactly.
It's time to take the last shot, he shies away.
You can always tell, like the guys that are ready for the big stage and the guys that aren't. And it's not always the best guys that are ready for the big stage. Okay, Rashudo was a much better, if you want to say it, Rashudo was a better player than Andrew McLeod, to draw another comparison, but big games, no one played better than Andrew McLeod. It's one of those things.
No, Speedo, no one was better than Andrew McLeod. Andrew McLeod was the best. They were two different players.
If you talk to a majority of Crows fans, they all love Rashudo. It's one of those things. But he was great regular season.
Huge.
How many of those great finals performances can you remember from him? That's the kind of performance we're talking about. And I even drew the comparison with they've gone through a similar struggle. They've been so good and so dominant, both LeBron and Cena, that everyone's just always looking for the next guy. And so because they've been, the number one spot, everyone looks at the past for their comparisons. Okay, well, they're following the biggest acts of all time. Like I said, Cena had to follow Austin and Rock.
Yep.
And LeBron had to follow Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
It's a no-win situation. And so then everyone's looking for the next guy. Oh, how about him? And it's just hilarious because we drew the comparisons where they both came into the forefront in 2003.
Yep.
And Cena won his first title, then LeBron got drafted. Then they also, about the same time, tried to get upseated by a young upstart that was undersized from Chicago. Obviously Cena had CM Punk and LeBron had Derrick Rose. That everyone wanted this little guy. I'm sick of that guy, the big guy that's better than everybody else. I want the little engine that could. I want just people being sooks. Not appreciating the greatness in front of them. And so they loved Derrick Rose. What happened when he got a chance to take on LeBron in the playoffs? Got absolutely creamed. LeBron even took it on himself to guard the guy and smoked him. And then Cena, like I said, he put over CM Punk, had a big title match. It was in Chicago too. If you go back and watch the match, I love it because I'm a big guy and I don't care about wrestling. Let's be honest, it's not a real contest, but it's a great performance. You can see that in that performance, Cena was comfortable in front of 20,000 people, whatever. And Punk was nervous. And his nerves got the better of him a couple of times. There's a couple of spots that he sort of, was a bit clumsy on and stuff, and you could just see that he wasn't ready for that moment. That's the thing that these two guys do. They're never. Obviously, LeBron has his epic collapse against Dallas in the finals that everyone holds on to, and that kills me because I can't defend it.
Yeah.
But other than that, when have they ever not performed on a big stage?
Yeah, definitely. I tend to agree with you with the Cena Punk thing, and I don't know what your views are here, but I've never been a fan of this. This movement, this independent wrestling style that goes around. And to me, I think it shows that for Cena to be the main man from 2003.
Yep.
To basically put the company on his shoulders, and then you've got all these smaller, I guess more trendy guys. I think these what's referred to in the wrestling world as marks. They like these small indie guys, but they can't carry the company. They can't. John Cena is the draw. That's why he continues. Whether it's not a popular decision amongst the fans or not, he's always that number one guy.
It's the whole thing of, and this is my issue with wrestling these days. The characters are gone. The real characters. Like guys like the Macho Man. That's a real character. Like Roddy Piper. That's a real character.
Ric Flair.
Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. Those guys that we grew up on. Even someone like John Cena. He is being authentically himself.
Yeah.
My issue with all these sort of independent wrestlers is the fact that a lot of wrestlers these days and the wrestling fans, they're just nerds.
Yeah.
That's their thing. Like wrestling fans these days are no different to Trekkies.
Right.
Like you watch obviously we go back in our day, but it makes us sound old and washed, which we are. But you watch the late 90s and, early 2000s, you watch those, WCW Nitros and Raws. It was huge. It was the cool thing. Like I said, I had friends that hated wrestling in high school.
Yeah,
and they're like,
me too.
I hate wrestling. But yeah, when Stone Cold did this, and when I'm like, okay, but you're still watching it. It was the popular thing. It was the cool thing to watch, and the crowds, mimicked that. And you saw in the crowd, there was, every now and then you saw some hot chicks in the crowd.
It was the college kids. It was the college kids.
It was all the college kids. It was the cool. It was the in thing to be at. Now you look in the crowd at a wrestling show, you're like, wow, there's 20,000 people in this arena and only 7 of them had sex. It's just a lot. And so these nerds then attach themselves to the latest nerd that's coming out, pretending to be a character.
Play wrestling.
Yeah, they play wrestling. They're not really being authentic characters. Like, oh, this guy's got a cool gimmick and stuff. Like, he's playing dress-ups.
Yeah.
And it's wrestling these days, they're just a giant bunch of cosplayers. And that's why the only guys that really get pushed that everyone hates are your big guys. Like at the moment, you've got the only ones these are the ones that I know. I know Braun Strowman, because he's huge.
Yeah.
I know Brock Lesnar.
Oh yeah.
I know Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And I know John Cena.
Yeah, massive dudes.
Other than those, I don't know a whole lot of these guys because they're just guys playing characters. They're not these larger than life human beings, which then create larger than life characters.
Yeah.
And that's the issue that I have with wrestling these days.
Yeah, I know we've totally gone off the track here, but I totally agree with you. This is our moment to bag wrestling. We've done 12 episodes or 11 episodes. And we've held off.
We've held on to this for a while.
Yeah.
Guys. Like, okay, I know this is probably going to turn a lot of people off if they don't really want to hear about us talking about wrestling, but we have a lot of issues with wrestling.
Yeah. Just deal with it. Just roll with us for a few minutes.
Just play along. This is what brought us together, so let us vent.
Yeah, we can talk about M&Ms and shit later and stuff, but yeah, just let us get this off our chest. It is, and the amount of conversations Spear and I have had over this stuff, it really is a broken record sometimes. We do talk about the same stuff, but it is a frustration. It is these guys who play wrestling. Okay, so it's not hip to watch wrestling. It never really has been. It's never really been. It had its moment in the 90s. It had its moment
in the 80s and the 90s where it was sort of the hot ticket because it was always like a giant theatre show.
Yeah, but it's not. You've never been the cool kids to watch wrestling.
Oh no! If you were you go watch the wrestling, you go enjoy it, have a laugh. But if you're the person that was really into it, it's like whoa.
Those people are the wrestlers today.
Yes.
Okay, they're the people who didn't make the cut in basketball or football.
Nope.
And I'll tell you now, guys, and I feel bad saying this because some of these are people are my friends, but if you went backstage for a wrestling show and you played catch,
oh yeah,
it would be a short game.
That was the hardest thing. One of those things because when we were sort of knee deep in it and we loved our wrestling.
Yeah.
Did it for 15 years. One of those things that everyone's like, oh, why don't you teach it? I'm like, because I tried to teach it a couple of times. And admittedly, like the school that I was training at wasn't, churning out the best guys. But I just remember more than one occasion, I tried to explain the footwork on how to lift people up and throw them. I'm like, right, so you need to kind of come into like a jump stop. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, did you ever play basketball? I'm like, no, okay. How about footy? No, okay. Okay, so you've never done anything athletic. No. What makes you think you can fucking do this?
And that is exactly right, man. And that's what I've always kind of said. Now the people who are wrestling today, they're these nerds who like to, probably younger than us now, actually.
Yeah,
the guys who saw Cena or saw The Rock and saw Stone Cold who couldn't play footy, soccer, basketball, and they went, you know what? I can wrestle though.
I've heard this is fake. I can do this.
Exactly. And the funny thing with wrestling is that you don't have to be the best to be the best, if that makes sense. Yeah. You can be the champion and be an absolute lousy up. You can be.
Yes.
It's not
It's not ideal.
But it can happen in the world of wrestling. And unfortunately, what happens is that then draws in these some people who may not be physically talented or well-rounded athletically.
And that's the guys
the guys who we're watching on TV today.
Exactly. To draw it back, so these are the guys that are now are going to have to take the mantle from John Cena. You know, and so that's why I think, like, you know, for ages, this is right back on track because we've veered off, and I'm back on the freeway. Okay, we took the wrong turn. But the thing is with Cena is like he's had to go against these average guys, and now it's one of those things where when he was on top and he was the champion, everyone kind of went, I don't like him. I wanted someone else. I wanted something different. You wanted what you had when you had Austin and Rock. The problem is that was never going to happen again. It's hard to find guys like that. They're generational talents.
Yeah.
But the thing is with Cena, now that he's starting to wind it up, everyone's starting to go, ooh, these main events really suck if he's not there. You know? And that's what I'm saying. Like, he is amazing, and he's about to wrap it up. And it's going to be one of those things that in a couple of years, like I said, when everyone looks back on it, they're going to go, wow, he was really amazing. I wish we appreciated while he's here.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm thinking is going to happen with LeBron.
Okay, quickly on the Cena thing, you're spot on, and it's interesting because I don't watch wrestling. I had the network thing for a while. I never tuned in, but I watched one of the pay-per-views recently, and it drew back to one of the TV shows, and it was Roman Reigns and John Cena. They were going back and forth. Now, Roman Reigns has been around for 4 or 5 years, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
been a while. He's their number one guy. Everyone hates him. His best work in the last 4 or 5 years came out in one segment between him and Cena. And Cena, in 7 minutes, drew out the best of this guy who is, who should be up the top, but he just hasn't got it because until Cena brought it out in him. Now and it's almost like, dare I say it, with the LeBron James, he brings some of the bums up. And and people like me probably don't appreciate it as much.
Exactly, because you look at the NBA these days. Who's your big stars? When you've got Russell Westbrook, but he's not going to win anything. He's just a ball dominant. He scores a lot of points, gets the stats, blah, 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 but you don't see him as a champion.
Speaking of which, do you see our boy Melo play today? They got a win against New York. Very happy with that.
I'm starting to soften on Melo.
Oh yeah, should come around.
Yeah, I'll come around. How did he go? Hit his first shot, miss the next 8.
Yeah,
he had a great game. Yeah.
But he come dead last.
Yeah. But then you look at one of the highlights of the last couple of years was the second series between LeBron and the Warriors. Yeah, I'm not even going to say the Cavs. It's LeBron and the Warriors. LeBron. And that was the best bit was the battle between the young upstart that everyone wants to see be the guy, Steph Curry, and he had to get his shot set back like 4 times, I reckon, in one game by LeBron. And LeBron even remember turned over his shoulder and just like, please, that's the thing. Like, it's guys are gunning for LeBron. They want to win a championship, but they know the championship goes through LeBron. Yeah. Once LeBron leaves and retires, he's 15th year now. He's up around my age, although we have very similar body types, but and similar athleticism. I just chose not to.
Be
an
NBA
player, and I chose not to be 6'9". No, I think my dad had a lot to do with that, but. That's the thing, like, when he goes, that Eastern Conference just falls to shit. Yeah. It's going to be one of those things, everyone loves Antetokounmpo, everyone loves Porzingis, you love all these young guys, but there's no real huge money draw like LeBron is. Yeah. And it's one of those things that once he leaves the league, and you know that you can pencil him in for the finals every year, and the finals are going to be intriguing at least. It's not going to be, it's not going to be,
It's not going to be Nets versus Lakers or something,
or the Nets versus the Spurs. When everyone, everyone always say, "I want different."
Yeah,
give you different. Like I said, I didn't like Jordan winning every year, but at least you knew if the Bulls at least got to the Eastern Conference Finals, you were going to be satisfied. Yeah, and then once Jordan left, it was like...
It was like that. Spurs won that half season.
Spurs won the half season against the Knicks. And the Knicks were the only exciting thing because A, it's the Knicks. Yeah. And B, they came from the 8th seed. That was like a gimmick.
And really, we had to wait until Kobe got good, which was about 4 or 5 years in before... Either you could love Kobe or you could hate Kobe. Yeah, and so it was a lull.
That gave them another dynasty, which was the Lakers, which was only 3 years again. And then there was a couple of years of the Pistons. But then, like I said, we had the infamous Spurs and Nets final.
Yeah.
technically great basketball.
Oh, yeah.
But
Can't knock the skill.
terrible.
Yeah,
terrible
no,
watch.
low rating.
And so
sure.
everyone said when everyone got what they thought they wanted, they didn't enjoy it.
It's like Kevin Owens versus fucking whoever the other guy he wrestles now. Like, we don't give a shit.
No one cares.
We don't care. Give us Cena.
The general public aren't tuning in to watch that. You know, your die-hard basketball boner guys would have loved Net Spurs.
Yeah, probably.
But the general public's not going to watch it. You need
no.
your big names. You need your big names to be prosperous. You know, and like, I mean, even if you go through to like right now, okay, this is killing me, and no one else cares but me and our other 5 listeners. We're up to like 21 listeners. We're doing quite well. Yeah, and we got about 10 in the States, and they might understand what I'm talking about. But right now in the baseball, 2 fucking teams I can't stand the most, the Yankees and the Dodgers, and it looks like they're going to play in the World Series.
Should I watch that?
Yeah, see, because it's names that they're big names. Like
definitely.
Major League Baseball's going to love it. The networks are going to love it. It's going to draw
ratings.
eyes. I can't stand it as a baseball purist and a Giants fan, but I understand that's where the big money is. You need your big markets, your big teams to make it. You know, like the NBA was struggling until they had LeBron.
Yeah.
You know, and then LeBron wasn't making the finals, so then what was the next big boost? They had to have Lakers versus Celtics.
Yeah.
Rehash the 80s. You need...
It's totally worked, man. The
Big-
NBA's fucking worked, man.
I'll tell you what, though. The way sports are going at the moment, we've just had Richmond versus the Crows in the AFL Grand Final. I fucking hate both those teams. We've now got the the Dodgers and the Yankees most likely going to be in the World Series. Can't stand them either. So, by this token, it's going to be a Celtics versus Oklahoma City Thunder NBA Finals. And like the Patriots and the Cowboys and then Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I can guarantee if it's going by my jinx and the teams that I hate making it, that's going to be the matchup. So, go to your bookies, put some money down on that. Gamble responsibly. But yeah, that's what's going to happen. But moving on to all these teams moving and that sort of thing. And we've discussed our understanding that teams are the leagues are going to change when these players move and leave, and when they lose Cena and they lose LeBron, those two corporations.
Who's going to take over? Who's going to be the guy? Like, because Steph is killer because he's a guy that he can finally. Is he the answer to LeBron?
No,
but he kind of is because he's sort of like he can beat LeBron. Like him and his team can beat LeBron. If LeBron retires, then what happens?
It's his team.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. His team, Golden State Warriors.
And don't get me wrong, I love watching Steph Curry.
Yeah.
I think he's amazing. But
I'll rephrase it. Okay, so once LeBron retires, which won't be very okay. Once he stops being the guy on the team, and he should retire shortly. I don't want him to be one of those guys who plays out and ends up coming off the bench. And no, we don't. That's bad for his legacy, and he shouldn't do it. He should retire whilst he's still very on top. Yeah. But once LeBron retires, then who is actually an honest threat against the Golden State Warriors? And you're probably right. It's going to be some low-rating NBA after that because it's almost like a fucking procession of the Golden State's going to keep walking through and win title after title after title.
If they can stay healthy, you can't see anyone really beat him. I mean, you've got these other.
So we need LeBron to play till he's fucking 50.
Exactly, because you don't have, especially in the Eastern Conference, you don't have anybody that's really capturing your imagination. Unless my man Kristaps Porzingis turns out to be actually the greatest player of all time and scored 31.
Porzingis is CM Punk, mate. He's a fucking indie wrestler, mate.
Mate, you will not speak ill of the unicorn.
I'm sorry, man.
The Porzing God.
Nah, you're like that wrestling mark.
The Latvian superstar.
He's one of 7 foot skinny white guy.
It's one of those things where the reason why I love Porzingis so much, it was almost like those, how like when you go to a sporting event and you just jump on somebody and and they're your guy.
You called it early.
That's my boy. It was like, there's this 7'3" guy from Latvia. It's like he got booed when he got drafted. I'm like, you know what? That's
my guy.
He's my guy.
That's a very youth thing to do.
I jump on an underdog, and then it turned out he can fucking play.
Yeah, he's good.
He was getting put back dunks over everybody.
Yeah.
And I admit, he's a bit lanky and the skills aren't quite as good as people think they are.
He played well today.
He's very good today, and he will be good this season. He's got a bit of Dirk in him and that sort of stuff, but I don't think he's going to be obviously like a LeBron category. But I just love him purely because of the gimmick. He's 7'3" from Latvia. Most people can't even spell his first name properly.
Yeah.
It just works for me. It works on a lot of levels.
I get that.
But because, like I said, it goes back to I love underdogs. I was talking to you earlier about there's a good story I always tell people about. My ultimate underdog tale was segueing back to footy, going to Gold Coast first ever win. So I went and saw the game where they won their inaugural game in their first season against Port Adelaide. Now, this is back when footy was played at Footy Park, coincidentally. No surprise.
Get out of here.
Very well-named stadium. But it was when Port Adelaide Power was no good, and they would draw I think they had maybe 12,000 people at this game.
Yeah.
And it was Gold Coast. It was
2016.
Oh, shit.
Oh, sorry.
Come on now. I've been a Port member for a couple of years now. But they would get no one out to West Lakes and stuff, and they played this team in their first season. It was a team full of bums and Gary Ablett. And we decided we're going to go to this game because we're a bunch of young lads and we had free tickets. Anyone that knows me that's listening to the show knows I will accept free for just about anything. I've been to netball games because tickets were free. I'll go to anything. You give me tickets to the ballet, I'm there. If it's free on the ticket, complimentary, you can expect old Specky Doodle to be in the crowd. But
Specky Doodle?
Oh, it's one of my shit nicknames. I've got a lot of them. We can go through. That could be a whole show one day.
Okay. Specky Doodle.
Yeah, you love it. But anyway, I was with a couple of mates and we went to the footy game and we got there at quarter time. Like by the time we got into the ground, they were down, like Port was up 24 to like a point. It was like, this is embarrassing. This is a shit game. There's like 12,000 people here, but it was a nice sunny Saturday afternoon. We decide, what do you do when you're like 27 or 26? You just get drunk. So we got really, really hammered and decided, you know what? We're going to go for Gold Coast. And the locals thought it was funny. You know, like everyone that was sitting around us, they're all Port fans. They're having a good old laugh.
Yeah, because they expect to win.
Exactly.
So everyone's happy.
They're laughing at these young lads just getting drunk. And we didn't know anyone, so everyone had to pick a boy. This is where the story came from, because we had to pick a boy each. So we couldn't pick Gary Ablett, because everyone obviously knew that Gary was the best player on the field. And you couldn't pick Brandon Matera, because he was the only one we knew because he was part of the Matera family. So I picked Zach Smith. He was, once again, 7-foot white guy. That used to play soccer, so I like a unique set of skills on a 7-foot white guy.
Yep.
And then we all had our players. Like there was one guy that had dreads who looked like the guy from the Shack called Nitro, so we kept calling him Nitro, even though it wasn't even close to being his name, and the people around us got really angry at us yelling out the wrong name. But we decided just to get on him. And then it was really good because they were down like 7 goals, and then going into the third quarter, they kicked like 6 in a row. They go into the last quarter, they're already down a goal.
I'm sure Port fans were taking that very well at that point.
The mood changed.
You weren't the funny guys like anymore?
The novelty of the young guys that are getting drunk and kind of watching the game kind of quickly slipped out the door. And now it's all of a sudden it's like, can these fucking guys shut up? So what happens when, you've got the lifelong heel drunk in front of a crowd? I start playing it up. Ham it up. So me, myself, me, Bowie, Patrick.
Did your shirt come off at all?
No, shirt's down. This was the shirt off era.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a long people. I'm a douchebag. There was a very, very rough era.
By the way, I wish I could take my top off.
Yeah.
Proceed.
But yeah, there was a fair era of my life where I was shirtless 90% of the time. But it's because I didn't want tan lines.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
That's my excuse. I'm sticking with it. But we were at the game and then we start cheering, and all of a sudden, Gold Coast miraculously hit the front, and we're like, shit, what's the words to the theme song? We're not YouTubing the theme song. They had a song, we didn't know the words. And so then all of a sudden, they're in front, Port come back, we're in front, and then with about 30 seconds to go, the ball goes forward. Justin Westhoff takes a mark. He's about 30 out on a 45-degree angle, siren goes, Port down by 4. About 10 rows in front of us, this guy turns around, stares at me, because I'm obviously the loudest. This is a huge shock, I know, I was being quite loud now. Turns around, looks me dead in the eye, and just goes, yes! Like clenched teeth, like fist in the air. He's just wanting to shut me up because I've been loud. I'm drinking Scotch and Coke cans. I'm going full scumbag mode.
Johnny Red?
Yeah, this is just absolute scumbag mode. And he's just looked me dead in the eye and cheered. Ball goes, this one's in. You want to get back to guys that choke on the big stage? Yeah. He sprays it that far left. It's a point. Gold Coast win by 3. We're just like, yes, let's go down to the cheer squad. Cheer squad's all of 9 people, but it doesn't matter. We run down there, me, Paddy and Bo, and a couple other boys, and we're on the second row seats. We're jumping up and down. The players come up to celebrate with the cheer squad, and the cameras are following them. All of a sudden, the phones start going off like, you boys are on TV. It's like, yes, we love Gold Coast. I don't think I've been to another Gold Coast game since, but ever since then, they've been my team. And what makes this the greatest day of all time as far as my life with football, going to a football game, not only because, I've just seen a great victory, the first ever victory for a certain team, Not only because later that evening, the Mighty Blues knocked off the Crows. That's right, Rain Man doesn't forget anything.
Oh, wow. What year was that?
Oh, it was a long time ago, which is the reason why it was the last time Carlton won a game. But it also had one of my favourite moments of all time. Now, this has nothing to do with football. This is just a good story that my friend Patrick hates when I tell. So I'll always tell him then. Oh, well, because after the game, there was the West Lakes Tavern, which is across the road from that football park. And we used to go eat there, wait for the traffic to go, although with the port game, not a lot of traffic. But we had there having our little schnitty and counter meal and stuff like that, watching the races, watching the other footy that was on. And we're in the front bar, and by the wall, there was like a little opening for a doorway. And at that doorway, you go out there's where the bathrooms are, and head towards the pokey room. Now, the reason why this is important is because we're sitting at a table near this doorway. And all of a sudden, as we're just wearing sort of casuals a bit in the footy, Patrick's wearing this pair of orange tracksuit pants. It was just his favourite pair of pants, comfortable, odd colour.
Orange.
Orange, yeah.
Yeah.
And this random guy just happens to walk past the doorway, stops, comes back out the doorway, unprovoked, just goes, "Hey, orange pants." And Parody goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Do you like the cock?" And then just walks off.
Oh, Paddy.
And Paddy turns back to us like, "What the fuck?" Like, he just had copped an absolute drive-by. Me and Bo are just in tears, crying, like laughing. It was just like the most unprovoked drive-by I've ever seen. And that story there, on top of Gary Ablett and the Suns, just make that the greatest sports day I've ever been to in my life.
On your Paddy. Unlucky about that one, Paddy. Wear the pants often after that, mate?
I think he wears them every week.
Yeah, get that kind of attention. Speaking of Gary Ablett, though.
Yep.
He was in the news. A bit of a trade, bit of excitement in the trades in
Gary's
AFL.
gone home.
He's gone home. He's gone to Geelong.
Yeah.
I've got to ask you, because I was thinking about this, and I mean, Geelong, Dangerfield and Selwood, with Gary Ablett joining, presumably in the midfield, you think, I mean, geez, if I was coaching, would you ever have anyone other than those three in the midfield starting off on the first bounce come next season, round one? I started thinking, is there a better midfield on paper than Selwood, Danger, and Gary Ablett? I'm curious. I would like to know.
Well, on paper, this is akin to the Lakers from a few years ago. When the Lakers first, they had Kobe, they had Powell, they had Odom, and then all of a sudden they got Dwight Howard and Steve Nash, and you thought, fuck, they're not going to lose a game. They're going to win everything. Like on paper, fantastic. And they haven't played a game yet though. And like you remember, Gary hasn't played a full season in God knows how long.
Dude won best and fairest last year.
Yeah, but for Gold Coast, I'm pretty sure if you strapped on the boots for Gold Coast,
I'm sure I would as well.
Yeah,
no, I'm not. Of course I would. But yeah, guys.
And they've got Gary and they've got Trent McKenzie and they've actually got the best Tom Lynch. So I'll give them three players.
Yeah, okay.
And they've got Trent McKenzie, which is just another quick topic. Why do left footers kick the ball so much further than right footers?
Yeah.
It's just the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life. If anyone can show me some sort of scientific knowledge behind why left footers can kick the ball so far, this bloke can kick it from 50 to 50. I don't get it. Why are lefties kicking it so much further? Discuss. Send us a message. I really need to know. If there's some sort of scientific reason behind it, I need to know. Because otherwise, it's just some sort of freak occurrence. But yeah, on paper, that is a very good midfield. But it's just like, we need to wait. We need to wait for a bigger sample size. We need to wait to see if the games happen because...
Dude, they made the prelim. Did they make the prelim? Yeah, Crows knocked them out in prelim.
Yeah, but they got murdered in the prelim.
By 10 goals, yeah.
Yeah. But so the thing, like, it works on paper, but it doesn't, there's been great midfields, because to me, my vote always goes to the West Coast midfield. Cousins, Kerr and Judd.
Yeah.
You've got 3 Brownlow medalists.
Yeah.
All 3 Brownlow medalists for the same team at the same time. That is, to me, the greatest midfield of all time. And I know there's going to be guys that say, Brisbane Lions, with Black, Ackermanis, and Voss, And then even, you could go back to, of course, I'm going to go back to Carlton, but, your Ratton and Bradley and Cooter midfields and stuff, or if you throw in Diesel, that sort of thing. There's a lot of options there. But I just don't think, at the stage of the career they're at, Dangerfield, to me, great player, a little bit overrated. Gary...
Do you think in 10 years you might appreciate it? Do you think you might?
Turning my argument. No, I'm big on, in footy, I'm big on efficiency.
Yeah.
And same with basketball. I'm big on efficiency. And I don't, I see Dangerfield in the same mould as Westbrook. Exciting to watch.
Yeah.
Great to watch.
Very powerful, very fast.
But... You know?
Yeah, weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, if you had a skills challenge and you wanted them to kick, to save your life, you're probably going to pick someone a little more sure-footed.
Like Tom Lynch.
The good Tom Lynch, the Gold Coast Tom Lynch.
Is there another one?
Yeah. But that's why, and Gary's on the downside of his career. I mean, admittedly, Gary's still better than 90% of the AFL.
Oh, wow, yeah.
But, he hasn't played a full season in like 5 seasons. He's injury prone at the moment, and the problem is once you start to rack up 1 injury, 2 injuries, 3 injuries, it starts to become a thing. And no one ever went from being injury prone to being, oh my God, he played like 3 more straight years after that.
Yeah.
It becomes a thing that constantly happens. And I don't know how many more concussions they'll allow Joel Selwood to get. Because this is my prediction. Within 10 years, I think every AFL player will wear headgear.
Do you honestly believe that? I've actually said that to people as well. I'm quite surprised that AFL hasn't started. Well, they may have behind closed doors, but I'm surprised they haven't started the old rugby, the helmets. Jason Dunstall used to wear. All those guys.
Caleb Daniels' mum made him wear headgear.
I'm surprised that with all these concussions, I've had that same conversation.
Well, I genuinely think, and I said, because I know the concussion thing's a big thing in the NFL. I'm a big NFL fan.
Yeah.
And the whole head injury thing is huge there now. And I know it's starting to come into the AFL, and it's one of those things where within a few years, and someone like that who's known to duck his head and take a few hits to the head, and he's also had some of the worst knockouts in an AFL game that I've ever seen. That's the thing for people that listen overseas. If you've never seen the greatest collision sport of all time, known as the AFL, just look up some highlights and just look up Joel Selwood, and there will be at least 3 or 4 highlights. Well, highlights slash with it, like lowlights. Yeah, but there's a couple of times where I remember one game. It was a Friday night. He got hit so hard. He sat half of his body went to sit up, and the rest of his body was stiff, and then he just fell back down again. It was like, that was genuinely scary. You never want to see, you love seeing a big hit, but you don't want to see anyone genuinely hurt.
Came back on in 10 minutes after that.
Oh, he had the big headband, yeah.
The mummy thing, yeah.
We have a thing that Joel Selwood doesn't actually start playing until he's got some sort of bandage around his head, and then it's game on. But I just think, with that midfield, on paper, yes, amazing, but until we see it in practice, until they actually win something like West Coast did, like Brisbane won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
I can't classify it as the best of all time.
I'm just throwing it out there because it looks, on paper, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is amazing. And just because you took the floor for a second, I do want to mention the Crows. There was a period of time when we came top and second in 05 and 06, and Rashudo, McLeod, Goodwin, Edwards.
Did they win any flags?
Next subject. What are we talking about after that? We've gone through that. Best in midfielders. Oh, is a hot dog a sandwich?
Now, this is a weird one. This came back because this has come from...
You're an arsehole, man.
Oh, I'm an arsehole. I listen to a lot of podcasts myself as well as recording one. Big shock. But big fan of Jalen Jacoby. And they have a constant argument, which I brought up with Steve. And Steve, I thought, was just going to dismiss it, but then became quite passionate.
It's so ridiculous.
Is a hot dog a sandwich? Okay, is it in the sandwich family, or is it something completely different? Okay, because then we discussed the whole, it's not a sandwich because it's in a roll. That was your argument?
That's right. Yeah, it's like more like a baguette.
More like a baguette. So you're classifying. So sandwich has to be
square.
Yeah, okay, square. So you don't consider because in the States they consider a burger a sandwich.
Yeah,
you're not considering burger in sandwich family.
Well, symmetrical.
Even though it's got bread on either side of topping?
Bread's irrelevant. I think
well, it's not bread's irrelevant because you just said baguettes are different to rolls and rolls are different
it's a shape.
Okay, the shape. So it needs to be square sandwich.
Square sandwich, yeah.
So you're being shapist.
Okay, if that's a thing, sure. Yeah, I am. Yeah. It's a hot dog is not a sandwich, obviously. Are you serious?
So everything has to have a separate classification. So you want to keep everyone segregated. You don't want to have everyone under one. You don't want to have one big happy family where sandwiches and...
Get along.
Well, then where do you stand on the double cut roll?
Double cut roll.
Because that's round.
Yeah, it is.
Is that a sandwich?
It's a roll.
Oh, it's a roll. So rolls are different.
Yes. Obviously, it's called a double cut roll.
Oh, okay. But it's similar. You don't only ever have sandwich type ingredients in there.
If I ask for a salad sandwich, I'm not asking for it on a roll. I'm asking for it on 2 pieces of square bread.
Yep.
That's a fucking salad sandwich. Okay. If I ask for a hot dog, I'm not asking for hot dog sausages on a square piece of bread. I want it on a roll.
What if you go to Bunnings and get Bunnings sausage roll or sausage where it's seasoned?
So that's not a sausage. That's not a hot dog.
Oh, okay. So
that's a sausage sizzle.
Oh, okay, so sizzle is different.
Are
You
you
just separating
serious?
everyone. You just want everyone in different little portions, don't you? You don't want to have anyone together. You just don't want anyone to be happy.
How has this become this?
You want to
all
keep
I'm saying.
everyone separated. You know? How do you feel about people of colour, Steve?
How is it? This is crazy. How is this a thing?
I'm just drawing comparisons to the way.
So okay. All right, let's get off the hate Steve train.
It's
so
my favourite train. Take it every day.
Is a hot dog a sandwich? You tell me why is it a sandwich? Because it's got bread?
Yes.
Oh,
Anything between
okay.
bread has to be technically in the sandwich family.
That's ridiculous.
No, it's not. It's
what about a muffin? Is that a sandwich?
like a
bacon egg roll muffin. Is that a sandwich? No, it's
in sandwich family.
It's a bacon egg McMuffin.
It's in the family tree of sandwiches.
Yeah, but it's not a sandwich.
Yeah, but it's in the family tree of sandwiches. It doesn't mean just because you're second cousins removed, you're still part of the family. You're still adopted children part of the family. Yes, they are, Steve. Okay, they're all part of the family.
Even the little ranger ones.
Even the little ranger ones. And we know they have no soul. But, I'm telling you, Steve, it's all part of the same family. So including hot dogs.
If I go to McDonald's on Saturday morning, I allow myself a treat.
Yep.
So if I go into McDonald's drive-through with my daughter Sophia, I say, "Okay, I'll get the hot cakes and the bacon egg sandwich."
Yeah.
What are they going to say? What the fuck are you talking about, mate?
I don't think they're going to swear at McDonald's.
Maybe not at your area. In the poor area, they fucking say, "What the fuck are you talking about, cunt?"
C-bomb, Steve. This is why he's one of the poors, folks. He has a very poor vocabulary, uses profanity in front of his daughter, no less. But yeah, I'm just saying. I'm not saying that you can just always say sandwich. I'm just saying it's in
is it a sandwich or not?
Okay, if you were when you were in the States, when you were trying to cruise to East 99, and you pulled in at one of the burger joints, and you asked for a chicken sandwich, what are you getting?
I said, I want a chicken sandwich, chicken sandwich.
And what did you get?
And I got a piece of square bread with some chicken on it.
You did not get a piece of square bread.
I never asked for a chicken sandwich. This is rubbish. This whole conversation is ridiculous.
You know what, guys? We need your help.
I don't know why we're doing
We always
this.
do this. Is a hot dog, burger, McMuffin, anything, are they part of the sandwich family? Or do we need to segregate everyone? Do we
is
need
it a
to make
sandwich
everyone...
or not?
Yeah, exactly. Is it...
Not a family. No, because that's grey area.
No, exactly. The world is grey area, Steve. I know you want everything to be black and white. You know what? I know you want to keep in your people. That's wrong. That's terrible. It's bad on my behalf. But I'm just saying, sandwich family. They're all in there. Does anyone agree with me, or is Steve finally going to win an argument? Is the hot dog, the burger, the Vietnamese roll, are they all in the sandwich family, or am I just talking out of my ass here? Does it all need to be on tip-top white, square white bread?
Why? Why does it have to be white for?
I'm just trying to make you seem racist. That's what I need to know, guys. Am I completely out of bounds, or is Steve finally won an argument? Let us know on the Facebook, guys. This is always exciting when we get the feedback on the Facebook. We talk about a main topic for 30 minutes. You guys don't give two shits. Mention some random topic about food or TV shows, and you guys are all in. We appreciate it, but the random stuff really seems to draw you in, and we need to.
It's funny, isn't it? The stuff that we take seriously, no one could give a fuck about.
Yeah, but we need them to listen to the random stuff so we can get the serious stuff off our chest, like horrible ramblings about wrestling today. But that's going to be our show for today, folks. I'm Speed Carolina saying goodbye for Steve Burrows.
Yep.
We'll speak to you next week. Peace.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.